Okay, who should start at point guard for the Jazz, Jake?
Collin Sexton.
No, he should not. See,
Stop. Don't come out here and start the show. See, we could have had a great show. Like, you could have come out and you could have said, yeah, you know what? This is a young team. We need Collin Sexton to start. Like you could have come out and said that. But now you're going to sit here and try and convince me that Mike Conley should start or Jordan Clarkson should start. Now, Jordan Clarkson, I can get down with that. Okay, Jordan Clarkson, you need an all-star. He can be that guy. Okay, I got you. Mike Conley? No. Mike Conley shouldn't be here.
Bro.
Yeah.
It's not close.
Mm-hmm.
It's Colin. I mean, I should stop. In all seriousness, Mike Conley should be starting for the Utah Jazz. I mean, this isn't even a conversation. He's the better point guard. He is playing good basketball. Why would you start Collin Sexton here?
Because you're not trying to win a championship right now. That's why. You're not trying to, win every single game that you play. Maybe Will Hardy and the boys are, sure. But as an organization in the big picture, you're not trying to win every single game that you're playing. You're trying to have probably a 400 season or so, just a little bit short of 500 basketball. That's what I think you're trying to do. But I think that, this team is right now trying to win every game they can, and so they're playing Mike Conley. They're playing, all their mainstays. So I don't know. I think it's a philosophical thing. I understand why Jordan Clarkson starts and plays, but to me, Mike Conley, costs you $20+ million a year. Mike Conley's advanced in age. He is still interested. He's still of interest to, contending teams. So, to me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense why he's here and why he's taking minutes from Collin Sexton when Collin's clearly the future at this point.
Yeah, I think because Mike Conley's the best point guard on the roster. And I think he helps make the younger guys better. And I think when you look at what Mike Conley brings to the yard, I just don't think there's much of a conversation to be had. Collin Sexton's not your best two guard. That's Jordan Clarkson. He's not your best point guard. That's Mike Conley. I don't think that Collin Sexton should be starting. I think you play your 5 best guys and you do what you have to do to win basketball games. And to me, and in my opinion, that's Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson starting at the guards. And I think that absolutely Collin Sexton has a role on this team. I think absolutely he's a guy that can help you win games. And I think he can be your scorer off the bench. But you are not starting Collin Sexton. And this whole notion of tanking, not tanking, let's stop talking about tanking because they're clearly not tanking at this moment in time.
Right.
Could that change over the course of the season? Sure, it could. But I think you're going to have an awfully difficult time convincing me that Mike Conley is not your best option at the point.
Yeah, and this is where I think it's kind of a philosophical conversation because I don't really think we're having a conversation about who the best guy at point guard is. At least I'm not. That's not where I'm heading with the conversation. Like, for me, it's more like, okay, who right now on a team that has no expectations, and I agree they're not tanking, but on a team that is not, NBA Finals, aspiring, why would you take minutes away from the guys you're trying to develop? Why would you do that? Now, Collin, you do have to say, hey, he did have the knee injury. Okay, he's going through that comeback process even still because most guys take anywhere from 4 to 6 months of game action to really be back in it 100% where they trust everything. So if the reason is, hey, he's still kind of coming back, he's still going through that rehab process in a sense, then I can understand that. But I guess for me, I think there's this middle ground where you don't have to be tanking to play someone like Collin Sexton who clearly has talent and clearly has upside, but also very much clearly needs development. And so it's like there's one or two ways you could go about that. And that's why I feel like it's philosophical. You could run Mike Conley out there, which is what they're doing, and you could bring dude off the bench, Collin Sexton. I could also see a scenario where Collin Sexton, comes in off the bench and relieves Jordan Clarkson and plays next to Mike Conley to get some of those developmental minutes. And I could also see a scenario where, hey, yeah, we traded Mike at the deadline to a contending team like all the teams you know and love, the Lakers, the Celtics, Dallas. We moved Mike Conley so to kind of pave the way for Collin to start playing, 35 minutes a night, And yeah, are there going to be turnovers? Are there going to be mistakes? Are there going to be bad basketball? Yeah, some of the time. But isn't that partially where you're at as an organization? You're not tanking, But you're also not trying to win a championship.
I maybe philosophical is the right way to put it, because I don't see it that way. I think you are trying to win every game you can win. And if you're Will Hardy, I think like getting Simone Fontecchio in the game last night for his first real run of the season. And I think you saw some nice things out of him, but it came at the expense of Walker Kessler, who I didn't think really had a place in this game. Because stylistically, I just feel like it didn't work for who he is as a player right now. So I really don't have a problem not playing Kessler last night. But that, I think, is what Will Hardy's doing. I don't think Will Hardy's like, well, I got to find a way to screw Danny Ainge and his tanking tactics. Y'all
want to play.
Yeah, that's clearly not what's going on. I don't even think this is much of a conversation, in my opinion.
Right.
I think Mike Conley is the superior point guard right now.
Would you move him at the deadline, though? Is he someone that you're active, like if you were Danny, you'd be looking to move?
I mean, it just depends on what I could get for him. But I mean,
yeah.
At this point, you're into him for $21 million this year.
Yeah, you're definitely invested.
I mean, if you're a playoff team, trading Mike Conley doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think they would like to make the playoffs. I continue to be told, and I continue to hear that there is no conversation in that organization top to bottom about tanking.
Yeah.
They are trying to develop their players and win as many games as they can. I don't think, and again, I am just kind of connecting dots on what I've been told, but I don't think that they're all in on VW. I don't think the Jazz are trying to hit Victor Wembanyama. I think that Danny Ainge wants to win much sooner than that.
Yeah.
And I just don't see – I don't know. This is a great debate about lineups. I understand why, like, there's conversations about rotations and who should be where and who should be starting, and I'm all down for that. But there's nothing to talk about at the point. There just isn't. I mean, I look at – Collin Sexton and what he brings, and I just don't think he makes guys on the team better. I think when you're starting with that core veteran group, I don't think that Collin Sexton makes that group better.
No.
I think Collin Sexton is your guy off the bench, especially with JC starting at the 2. You need a guy that can come in and give you production off the bench, and I think that's Collin Sexton.
Yeah, I mean, I think he fills that role perfectly, and I don't even disagree with you that he doesn't make guys around him better, and I also think that he's very rough around the edges as far as his game is concerned. Like, it needs to be said, there's a lot of development that needs to happen with Collin Sexton. Like, last night he has, he's clearly working on, the patented Steph Curry, James Harden step back move a little bit, and he's not nearly as good at it as some of those guys or some other guys in the league. But when I watch him play, you can tell that he is working on his game. You can tell that there is an effort to become a more polished player. So that's why I say, if your goal is to try to make the play-in and be, or even make the playoffs, like just skip the play-in altogether, then he's going to come off the bench all year. I guess my thing just is, without being in the organization and obviously not knowing, 100% or definitively, I just feel like if I was Danny Ainge in that front office, I would be saying, hey, we are trying to win games, but Collin needs to be playing, 20, 25 minutes a night. Like, Collin needs to be playing good, not heavy, but good quality workload for an NBA player. He doesn't need to play 35, 40 minutes a night. That's not who he is, but 25, anything under 30, I feel like is really good for Collin Sexton. So should he start? On some teams, yes, he would start. I guess on this team right now, with how they're going about it, he's not going to start. And we were talking about this on the way home yesterday. I'll be really curious to see where this team is at after 10 games. If you're over 500 after 10 games, Collin needs to continue to come off the bench. If you're a sub-500 team after 10 games, then I think you can play with the lineup a little bit. But if it's working, don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah, and I don't think it's broken at all. And frankly, I just don't see the need to tinker with it in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. All right, let's get your thoughts in here, who you guys think should be starting. Let's see. First one in, Mike Chase. Good morning to you. Neville93 says, morning. I'm driving to Vernal for a job. You guys have a great day. You too, Neville. Hope you're well.
You too, buddy.
BB says the Jazz should clearly start the young guys. I mean, there's no point to be starting old guys that basically don't help you long term. Well,
but see, this just goes right back into, and I think BB was the one that with all due respect, as the saying goes on the show, BB's the one that feels like they should tank and just like go Oklahoma City level tanking, and I just don't think that that's where they're at right now.
Yeah, I think there is still a sect of Jazz fan that is not happy that this team is 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, you saw they lost last night. I don't know how much of the game you followed, but you look at, you look at some of the numbers on who played. Like, I don't know how you're not happy that Fontecchio got heavy minutes. I mean, or his heaviest minutes yet, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thrilled to see it.
Yeah, I mean, he got a good share of minutes, and he made his shots when he came in, and they kind of kept him in.
Yeah, 16 minutes, 3 of 5 from 3, 13 points. Like, I thought he played really well. I thought this was obviously, I think the Jazz ran out of gas last night. This was not oh, man, we're 3-0. We got to find a way to lose a game.
Yeah.
It's not what this was. And I actually thought that, Malik Beasley played some interesting minutes as well. I thought he finally shot the ball well, 2 of 4 from 3. I mean, they got a lot of good contributions. They just ran out of gas.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we kind of talked about yesterday on the show, that Houston is a really energetic team, and they're a team that is going to run on you. They're a team that is going to get up and down. They're a team that's going to move the ball a lot, and you better be ready. And so it's no surprise that you lose this game by, 6 points, 114-108. It's not a surprise to me. And I think that, there are definitely some nice wins. And it's really interesting, this tanking versus sort of like finding the middle ground on, losing enough games or, not winning enough games, but also being competitive in every game you play. And I think if you're Will Hardy, the only thing you're concerned with is winning as many games as you can,
Bro, I just adjusted the leg on the table.
Oh, you got the cramp going on?
I got the trap burner happening. That's the worst. That is the worst. But what's worse, having a cramp in your shoulder, or your table's like wavering?
Oh, it's brutal when the table wobbles. It's terrible.
Anyway,
yeah.
I actually like the rotations that Will Hardy's running out. I think he's done a really nice job, and I'm really pleasantly surprised by how good of a coach he is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he did a really nice job limiting Vanderbilt's exposure last night.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want him to, I think he didn't want him to pick up that 5th foul and get into Ben Simmons territory. Anybody? Ben Simmons territory? Okay, yeah, so...
Okay.
Did you guys see, though, Jabari Smith and Jalen Green getting into an argument on the bench last night for Houston? I thought that was... that's the kind of team I think you're trying to avoid becoming.
Yeah, I think that team has a lot of young guys on it who think they're really good, and they are really good. They have length, they have athleticism, They have what you want. So, I mean, it's going to happen.
Yep. Hullabilly says this was the second game of a back-to-back. I wasn't expecting a win, but the guys still fought. Love this team, and I'm excited to see how the season plays out. Well, too bad you can't say the same thing about the Wild. Gage Carter says, morning, guys. Jazz played good. Tough loss on the second night on a back-to-back, but the Bears win.
Hey.
Justin Fields sucks, but the Bears won.
Yep.
That is what it is. Matt Eberflus, your mom.
Matt Eberflus.
Why would you draft a quarterback and then hire a defensive coach?
Don't get it.
BB says, the only way to guys develop in a system is to actually play in that system. Yeah, and I think but see, I don't know what you want the Jazz to do. What is it, BB, anybody that's a fan of the tanking thing here, what different do you want the Jazz to do? Are you saying start like Fontecchio and Kessler every night? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. So you're just going to pay. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Good morning, Kurt Myers. Jesse Harsh says, morning, boys. My 9-year-old nephew turned to me on Saturday while BYU was being taken to Pound Town and asked if he could cheer for a different team. I said, no. Welcome to the rest of my life. There you go. It's the Jake I told you so show.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Did you
feel
tell
like I
everybody?
rolled that out.
Kanai Johnson says, top of the morning, fellas. Now let's see how the Jazz bounce back. Yeah, they have Houston tomorrow night at the Viv.
The Viv.
The Viv. I thought this was a great start.
Yeah.
And you know what? They battled. I think the one thing that you have to take away from yesterday is this team never quits. You know, you got to feel good about what they're doing. You got to feel good about, you know, how hard they've played for Will Hardy. And I think it's a tip of the cap to Will that this team came out last night with a very high level of compete. And I think if you're Will Hardy, you have to be thrilled with what you've seen because they never quit and they never stopped playing hard. And I thought that was a really huge thing for this team.
Yeah, and I agree with the people who are saying the contrast from this year's team to last year's team is stark. I think that work hard, you know, be relentless mentality was talked about last year, but never really implemented. And this team just does it every night so far. So I hope to continue to see that.
Yeah, we'll see. Kenny. Good morning, Kenny. Lakers Jazz trade is a no-brainer to me at this point. Russ plus 2 firsts for Conley, Beasley, and Gay. I mean, why would you do that if you're the Jazz? You can't do that now. I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want to bring in a $47 million contract. You know, like I just...
When you're competitive in every game you're going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, you just beat one of the best teams in the West. I mean, you were on a back-to-back. You lost to Houston, but... I mean, you've beaten 2 of the best teams in the West.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go 3-1 in every 4-game stretch, you're obviously going to have a great season. They're not going to do that, but you get what I'm saying. So that's why, to me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to do that trade and pick up Russ's option or pick up his money rather, because you're fine. Your money's in a good spot. You have plenty of picks. You're competitive. Like, just play through the season now.
Yeah, interesting question out of Jesse Harsh. He says the Jazz beat the Nuggets, who beat the Warriors. Ergo, we're NBA champions. I mean, if that's what you got to do to get through the day, my friend, yeah, go ahead and buy yourself a ring. That's fine. Tom Basilius says, "Morning, fellas."
What's up, dude?
Morning, bruh. Mike should start. Holabilly says, "No question. Totally agree with that. Totally agree." Ken Williams gives us a $5 super sticker. Appreciate you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. BTS Dance Studio says tank.
Nah.
BTS Dance Studio again says tank. And then BTS Dance Studio for a third time says tank. And then like a fourth, a fifth. And then he says Danny is no idiot. And then he just keeps saying tank, tank, tank.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
Eric and Raleigh says, but Conley out.
Buy Conley out.
Buy Conley out. Oh, it's a reading thing.
Yeah, you know.
Why would you see? Like, what sense does any of that make? Buying Mike Conley out.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if you're a basketball fan, like specifically if you're a Jazz fan, you just have to be patient here. Like, let these guys play a little bit together. Let these guys sort of build the chemistry and the culture, and like let them just do what they do, because ultimately, you know, it's gonna go one way or the other. Like, you're gonna make the playoffs and shock the world and be this sweetheart team and then get eliminated, or you're not gonna make the playoffs at all and you're gonna continue to work on the roster. That to me is what you're looking at.
Yeah, I just don't. It makes no sense for this team to tank. It really makes zero sense for this team to tank at all. Steve Barnhart says, "Good morning from Florida, everyone." Steve, hope you're well down there. Saw some interesting post-hurricane business opportunities popping up in Florida. Mm-hmm. We should talk about that at some point. Travis Bird says Clarkson for Ben Simmons, 2 picks and a thong-wearing hottie. Okay, that's fine. Kenny says, I think either way we should be resting Conley on back-to-backs.
Agreed.
You do think
100%.
so?
Yeah, why are we so committed to playing Mike Conley constantly? Like, why would you not just try to keep him healthy?
Because you're committed to winning games. I think that's what is so, I guess, hard for some people to grasp. The Jazz are not tanking. They're not trying to lose games. The Utah Jazz are committed to winning games. So you're not resting Mike Conley on back-to-backs in the 4th game of the year.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't like. I shouldn't say I don't like. I just don't love the messaging of we're committed to winning games this year. No, what you're committed to doing is getting through this year and making sure that Mike is healthy, so that he's an option to trade at the deadline. That's what I think you're committed to, honestly. But
I could see that.
You know, I think that winning this year just doesn't matter a whole lot. But I think, to your point, there's a difference between winning not mattering as much and tanking. And I'm just telling you, like, they're not tanking.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what what winds up going on. I mean, I just what I find so fascinating, and again, this is just me, is the fans that want the Jazz to tank. Why do you want the Jazz to tank? I mean, even if they were to tank and lose every game, their chances of getting Victor Wembanyama are slim and none.
Yeah.
So what are you tanking for? Are you tanking for a top 5 pick, a top 10 pick? Like, it doesn't add up, especially with the roster of guys. I don't think anybody saw Lauri Markkanen being this impactful. I don't think anybody saw that this team could come together, gel this quickly, and be this good defensively.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of that. I mean, I think the biggest thing that they do is they play good defense. So I just don't know. I don't know why you're so excited for them to tank. And the other thing I think people forget about is, let's say that you do wind up with Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
Let's say that happens, right? If you get VW, what happens to your franchise? Do you start winning championships?
That's what everyone thinks.
That's not what happens. What happens is you lose for 5 years. That's what happens. When you draft a guy like Victor, who's a huge project in this league, I got news for you. You don't win, and you don't win quickly. You don't. When you have the number 1 pick, how many times has the number 1 pick gone on to lead his team to the playoffs?
Yeah, not a lot.
I mean, the percentages are highly, highly against you.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to find a way to come around to the idea that drafting Victor Wembanyama is probably not the quickest way to win a championship. And if, for my mind, and I'm a Bulls fan, trust me, I know about losing in the NBA.
Yeah.
In my mind, you can't draft guys to win championships. You have to build the entirety of a team and a roster, and that's not Victor Wembanyama.
Agreed.
It's not. It just
100%.
It is what it is. James Knight says, I feel a water is wet comment coming. Nah, that's good. Ken Williams says, I like this team. You need Mike to run the team and get them in the right sets. Vando is a monster. I think Jared Vanderbilt is one of the better stories early in the season. I think his want to defensively has been nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah, I think he works hard. I think that, they understand the situation they're in. Obviously, they're not dumb. Like, they understand that they got to work hard and really, beat the other team to the spots. And I think that ultimately is what's giving them success early on. They're just working their ass off. And I think that's why you saw they retired last night. So Jared Vanderbilt obviously is one of those guys that leads the charge on that.
Yep. The Monty Show presented by the Advocates, UtahAdvocates.com. If you've been in a wreck, if you got hurt at work, yes, they do workman's comp. I've been asked that a couple of times.
Yep.
Yes, the Advocates do workman's comp. Make sure you check it out, UtahAdvocates.com. Whether it's DUI, distracted driving, no matter what it is, you didn't deserve to be in an accident. What you deserve is somebody to fight for you so that you can get back to the best version of yourself as quickly as possible. And please do not trust your insurance agency. Trust your insurance company because they've got hundreds of lawyers. Why don't you have an advocate? Why don't you have somebody that fights for you? Get yourself the representation you need to thrive once more. Find them right now at UtahAdvocates.com. There are never any retainers or big consultation fees. In fact, you don't pay the advocates until they win your case at UtahAdvocates.com. Talking Utah Jazz as they lose in Houston last night to fall to 3-1. They host the Rockets at the Viv tomorrow night at 7. And I think this Jazz team's in a very good spot. I'm a little surprised night in and night out how much negativity there is around this basketball team because I actually feel like they're doing a great job. I feel like they're in a really good spot. I mean, I look around the NBA. There's no reason this team can't be a 7, 8, 9, 10 team. No reason at all. I think in the West it's going to be very difficult for them to, play their way into a solid playoff spot.
Yeah.
There's no reason they can't be a play-in team.
Yeah, and I think when you work that hard, it's just a matter of it being consistent. I mean, if they do that every night for the, if they're doing that almost every game, they're going to be in a good spot. Yeah,
I don't disagree with that. Hola Billy says, fans who want the Jazz to tank are casuals and don't know basketball.
Well,
that's not wrong. Travis Bird says, you draft Victor. He's the sixth man playing 25 minutes. You use the rest of the draft picks to draft the guys and you make a playoff in 2024. If you draft Victor Wembanyama, you're not going to the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
You're just not. It's going to be a long road to hoe. You draft him, I think it's going to be a very long road. Very casual. Very, very long road. James Knight says the Bulls are back, Monty. No, they're not.
Unfortunately, they're not.
They're not. And Zach played last night. Zach LaVine played last night. And, hey, man, I get it. And that's a good basketball team, but they're not back. We are a flawed-ass team in Chicago. And you know that this is also interesting for the Jazz, too. Because think about this. Look at the Chicago Bulls. You're paying a guy a supermax in Zach LaVine, and you've got all this money out, and you're not a championship contender.
Nope.
They are not one of the 5 best teams even in the NBA right now. And, again, DeMar DeRozan is a stud.
Yeah.
I mean, playing well, being productive, and they're
doing
not
everything you want.
They're not a championship caliber team, and that Zach LaVine contract, he will miss, in my opinion, significant time to knee injuries. And he is probably going to wind up having It's
not ideal. I mean, obviously, Zach has always been a guy that's struggled with the injury bug.
I don't even want to say it out loud, man. Yeah. I don't. Monty, your Utah Enoch. I don't know what that means, but we need to tank for Victor. Okay. I disagree. I don't think you do. That's just me. C. Good morning, C. Okay. Hullabilly, you can't win in the NBA without star, and the Jazz don't have one, and the picks we are getting won't produce one. We have to tank and not get caught up in the moment. I think you make trades to get your superstar.
Yeah, I think you're undervaluing Danny Ainge's ability.
Yeah, I would agree that signing a prolific free agent's always tough. Aaron Judge is not coming to the Jazz as the most preeminent free agent in all of sports.
What I just said.
Nothing? Okay.
Nothing.
Anyway, the point is, you're right. The best free agents probably are not signing in Utah.
Yeah.
Danny Ainge can go and make trades. And Danny Ainge, I agree. I think you forget what Danny Ainge has already done since he's been here. Now, again, I'll just ask why they traded Don. I have no idea. But you can go and get a guy in trade. There's no doubt about that. In my mind, anyway.
Yeah,
I think that's their plan.
You can always go and get a big name in trade, and I think that's the whole point. Like it doesn't make sense to me to tank for like a 5% chance to get the number 1 overall pick. That's never been, to me, like what stirs the drink in Utah. I think what stirs the drink is this concept of let's win as many as we can. Let's use these picks to make trades, and let's improve the roster. Like that, to me, is as straightforward as it gets.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And I agree with that, Eric and Raleigh, who says the worst thing the Jazz could do is get into the play-in tournament. I mean, if you're in the tournament by 1 game, you probably want it to be out of the tournament.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that at all. But I feel like they're not. I'm tired of the tanking conversation now.
Yeah, it gets
I'm
old.
burned out on it. Like I don't know what else you need to see from the Utah Jazz to know they're not tanking. I mean, I don't know that it's even arguable.
I think whether it's the Conley versus Sexton conversation, whether it's the Fontecchio conversation, like
Fontecchio,
Fontecchio.
Today, by the way, is World Pasta Day.
Damn right, let's get it. I think that it's just very clear what they're trying to do, and I think that I don't know how the messaging was so different for a lot of fans who are like, yeah, they're tanking, but they're not behaving like they're tanking. They're not, nothing that they're actually doing suggests that they're tanking.
Well, I would even go back to the trades they've made. They don't suggest they're tanking. I mean, you don't trade for Lauri Markkanen, Malik Beasley. Like, you could have traded those guys. You traded Pat Bev, right? You don't trade for those guys and, call it tanking. You don't trade for a guy like Collin Sexton and sign him to an extension and then say you're tanking. Like,
yeah.
They're not. By the way, did you buy into what Adam Silver said about tanking? He said that the systems they've put in place are preventing teams from tanking.
On a certain level, I think that it's improved the tanking situation in the league. I would agree with that, but I think you still get your Orlandos and your OKCs and your bad teams that are going to lose a bunch of games and do it intentionally and try to get the draft pick. Like that to me we see that all the time. That's not anything new.
Yeah, Adam Silver, the commissioner in the NBA, and it was on ESPN.
The 4-letter.
He basically said, well, we're putting in a midseason tournament and all the things that don't have any impact on tanking when you have a guy like Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson and people will tank for those. And I look at Houston. I don't think Houston's tanking anymore. I just think they're not very good at developing players.
Yeah.
So I look at OKC. Maybe OKC has, maybe they're the ones that end up with VW and they put him next to Chaboy.
Chaboy.
I don't know what that means. I mean, Chet and VW next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not to be an asshole, but I think it's injury central.
Well, and good luck telling them apart. Like, I mean, 2 7-foot-plus guys that weigh combined 200 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's not a smart investment. I think and that's my biggest problem with the Jazz going after VW. I don't think that VW ensures you a championship.
No.
Again, just the same way that Rudy Gobert, while he maybe have more muscle on his frame, a little bit thicker of a player, these guys who are skill position guys at 7'4" and 7 foot and they are not going to be able to handle the beating that the NBA is initially. And we saw this and we see it almost every year that young guys who are taken high in the draft typically can't handle it. Now, guys like Paolo Banchero, that's a different example. That guy's ready to go. But
he went to Duke as Duke.
Yeah, Duke is Duke.
Right? I mean, he's got a ton of experience there. It's just I don't know, man. I just hate this conversation. I don't disagree with what Eric said. Being in the play-in tournament is probably not ideal, but you're not trying to lose games. I don't buy that. C says, but why would you want to be in the play-in? That's just a ticket to mediocrity. There's no one on this team that can lead them to being elite. I just disagree with that. I think Walker Kessler, I think Fontecchio, what you saw last night, I think Collin Sexton, I think there's a bunch of guys here on this roster that can take you to the next iteration of or whatever that is.
Yeah.
That'll be on this team. Is Jordan Clarkson in that group? I doubt it. Is Mike Conley in that group? I doubt it. I think the Jazz, based on what's going to happen after the All-Star game and into the summer, that's when we're going to know what their true motives were.
Yeah.
I don't see a situation where Danny Ainge is like, hey, how many games can we lose and what's the math to get VW? You really think that's what Danny Ainge is doing here?
Nah, yeah.
I don't see that at all.
Yeah, no, I can't. Yeah. No, I don't see it at all either, but maybe we're just casuals. Maybe we're wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, we never get anything right on the Jazz.
Well, we're the YouTube hack, so obviously,
There it is.
Casual.
The daily YouTube hack reference.
Yeah.
On the show. The biggest stories in sports on this show are presented by Quick Quack Car Wash. What's going on with the weather in this town? Dude, this is crazy. And I know a lot of people love this time of year. I do. I mean, we could barely walk into the building this morning. And of course, what's the first one that pops up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kanapali.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
I miss Maui. I do. I miss Maui.
Oh, it's 76 and sunny every day.
It is. But you look at the forecast, bro, we're looking at rain the next 2 days and 20 degrees, and you got to have a wash pass. Your car is going to get crushed. Trust me when I say that. The salt, the dirt, the grime, hook it up at Quick Quack Car Wash. They're friendly. It's fast. Jake won't die in your car while you go through the car wash.
Nope.
Our biggest stories in sports this morning are presented by Quick Quack Car Wash. You all right over there?
Struggling a little bit today, but we're all right.
I'm telling you, when you get to a Saturday and you're like, well, hey, guys, Jake walks into our house on Saturday, right? And he's like, who's on Team Vitamin C today? And I'm like, okay. You were feeling it Saturday, weren't you?
Barely.
Don't.
But yes. I didn't chew it.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Okay.
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
So it only lasted you less than 35 minutes.
Yeah, or so.
You're an idiot.
What? Where do you get 45 minutes is like an arbitrary number.
Okay, give me a cough drop. Let's race.
Okay, I've already started.
What would you like to bet that I can make this cough drop last longer?
Okay, we're not talking about making it last longer. We're talking about the proper amount of time it lasts. So 2 minutes for you is not going to get it done.
Okay, well, usually it does, though.
Well,
the point is, you shouldn't be chewing your cough drop. It's a throat lozenge, not a piece of candy, dick.
Sorry, did you say a throat lozenge?
Do you not? No, I didn't say lozenge.
What did you say?
Lozenge.
I don't know what that means, bro. I don't know. I'm dumb. I don't know what that means.
God.
Yeah, start. You know what? We haven't had a prayer this week. Why don't you go ahead and pray? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Guy, it's a throat lozenge. That means
everybody
that
gets a test.
You're good at sucking on it, so just let it let it
rest. Let it rest
between your cheek and gum, and it's all good.
Right.
That's all you have to do.
Okay.
But you walked into Casa de Monte on Saturday,
right?
And you were like, "Oh, whose team? Vitamin C."
Yeah.
And Mrs. Monty and I looked at each other like, "Dude."
No, you did not.
Yeah, we did too.
Stop.
Yeah, we did too.
Okay.
And then I asked you on Sunday when you were sitting here like just grinding out, I was like, "Hey, you feeling all right? What's going on?" "No, I'm fine. I'm fine."
Well, got stuff to do.
Dummy. Yeah, and apparently taking NyQuil and DayQuil didn't start till yesterday when it was too late.
Well, you know.
How do you not know the word throat lozenge?
Because who said it's a cough drop? Who says throat lozenge?
Yeah, it's not lozenge.
Jesus,
it's not lozenge. It's lozenge.
Lozenge. What are you, French?
No. Oh my people, do you see what I deal with every day? This is what I deal with every day.
With all due respect.
You know. James Knight says all that money you spent on Jake's education was well spent, clearly.
Damn.
Exactly right. My grandma, Tanner's here.
Thanks for showing up on time.
Good morning, Tanner. My grandma, actually, hey, guys. My grandma actually eats cough drops like candy. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Hey, guys.
Okay.
Hey, guys.
Kenny's like, bro, TF is a lozenge. I'm French and I've never heard of that.
That's my point. Thank you.
What the fuck are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, my God. NY Monty fan says, yes, cough drop Grand Prix. By the way, do you still have your cough drop?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you?
Yeah, it's right here.
No, you're a liar. See what this is. Stop it. Stop. Anyway. Now everybody's in on this. LOL, wow, Jake, first you dissed TD Jesus, now this. Exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't think y'all are casuals at all. I just trust y'all jazz info more than anyone in the market. Just didn't want to come off as taking a shot. No, it's all good.
we don't take it like that. I just think that this conversation around tanking is one that jazz fans, disagree on. We've heard, so obviously with doing the show every day, like we get comments every day that are differing. Like we get people who say that, yeah, they're tanking. We get other people who say, no, they're not tanking. And so it's like, we tend to just go off of what's put in front of us. Okay, their behavior, like the trades they made, the way they made the trades, like, obviously the Gobert deal revolutionized or shocked the world, basically. And then the bogey trade was basically just a cash drop. Like you just were getting under the luxury tax threshold.
Yeah, and basically, the bogey trade was Kelly Olynyk, Saban Lee, and the Pistons gave the Jazz $1.2 million to pay Saban Lee's full salary.
Yeah.
And the Jazz turned around and said, okay, cool, can I get a reach around? Here's Bojan Bogdanovic.
Right.
Me?
Nothing?
Dude, are you serious right now?
Who is?
Are you serious?
I don't know what that was.
And now my Siri is talking.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, that was weird. I said reach around and Siri started talking. I'm just saying.
Hey
the point is, I just think it was a trash trade. That's still the trade.
But
That's
anyway,
stuck in
my point is
craw.
to C's comment there. What I was getting to is just that it's not that we take it as like a shot or something or disrespect. I just think that this team is one that I think Jazz fans are going to vacillate on for a long time.
Yeah, tanking. Yeah, I hate tanking. Hullabilly says, wasn't calling you a casual. I just follow the Jazz big time and don't think they're tanking. Trade should happen by tanking, but tanking, no.
Yeah.
I agree.
Agreed.
Kenny says, tanking or not, why haven't we seen Ochai Agbaji? I just think he's not ready. And this is the Jared Butler conversation.
Yep.
You know, like, I mean, you knew Jared Butler wasn't ready. And they tried to force him in at times, and he looked terrible. And my fear for Agbaji is that he is a 4A player. I've heard that occasionally about him.
Well,
then what that means is you're not a major leaguer. You're not good enough to be in the majors, but you're too good to be in AAA, and that makes you a 4A player.
so it's another Doak, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think Doak's a 2A player. I'm just not a Udoka Azubuike fan.
Yeah.
Even a little bit. Yeah. But again, I totally get that. James Knight says, lose the cough, lolly. Jake, it's unprofessional. YouTube hack, LOL.
Thank you, James. Still haven't gotten beer, by the way.
Always good to see you, James.
Yeah, thanks.
Glad to see you're salty again. Siri wants to talk about the Jazz, and take note, hashtag is programmed into her. Okay.
Well, there you go.
I'll program something into her. Big no tanking. No one plays to lose. I don't disagree with that. I don't. By the way, what do you make of the Ben Simmons thing last night? Because I want to talk a little general NBA as well. If you didn't see it, Ben Simmons fouled out. Kevin Durant dropped an F-bomb. And I wonder if there is some truth to this narrative that NBA officials will target the Nets.
Uh-huh.
I kind of think that's happening. I mean, by the way, Philadelphia finally got a win, so I don't look like a complete buffoon.
Right. Yeah.
What do you make of the Ben Simmons thing last night?
I think Ben Simmons has trouble with fouling out. That's what I think. I think that that was not a foul on John Morant, or that that play that was not a foul on Ben Simmons that they called. I don't think it was a foul. I think it was good physical play.
Yeah.
But that's not really how the NBA works, and I think we all know that. It's not really about. Unfortunately, it's not really about just that one play. I think a lot of times when officials blow the whistle, it's a cumulative effect. It's been building. It's, hey, I missed a call, on Ja 5 minutes ago, and so I need to make that up, or I did this or I did that. Like, that definitely happens. So to me, if you're Ben Simmons, like, your whole job is just to keep Ja in front of you, not push him into an over and back violation. So like, when you're playing John Morant, you're obviously not looking to press the guy, to a point where you're going to commit a foul. But Ben did that. And so that's what I'm saying. He put himself in a position, for the official to blow the whistle. That's the problem, not the actual play itself, if you're Ben Simmons.
Yeah, and I just think that the Nets are going to get targeted by the officials. I don't have any doubt about that. I think you look at that team, the Brooklyn Nets, shockingly, they're starting to turn into KD and Kyrie. Like that, I mean, both those guys, I think, had, 37 last night? Like, it's...
Yeah.
I think Steve Nash... I could be coming around to the fact that Steve Nash may be the problem in Brooklyn. Because I don't see them spreading the ball. I don't see them running like some kind of offense that's going to get them a desired result. Like, I don't see any of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's not easy to do on a team that's loaded with talent like that, though. Like, those guys because the trade-off is like, hey, I'm Kevin Durant. I'm one of the best players in the world. Give me the ball and let me shoot it type deal versus playing team basketball. And that, I think, is what Steve Nash is struggling with.
Yeah,
for sure.
Interesting. M. Alvarez says Jake is a millennial, so he wouldn't know the different word for cough drop.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And as someone who is really stupid, I struggle with certain words. So thank you,
I mean, you're not the brightest guy ever.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
No.
Oh, man, I just did such a good job of not saying something horrible. I'm so proud of myself right now. And I just want to take this time to thank my heart and soul for protecting me and reining in my tongue and my brain at the same time so that I did not say that horrible thing that I probably wish I could have said but didn't and stuff.
No, I guess not.
Yeah, no, I didn't say it. But
I want to thank me.
Are you going to thank me?
No.
That would have been the thing. Here, I'm going to be a jerk. The thing that I didn't say that I wanted to say that would have been amazing was truly amazing.
Uh-huh.
So you're welcome.
So what do you want to say?
I can't say it.
Why?
Deuce says Ben Simmons is the toughest defender in that starting lineup. People are definitely going to be looking to be physical with him. John Morant did that whole roll the ball up thing. My question is, why do you let guys roll the ball up like that? Why don't you run at him and make him pick it up?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never understood that. I really don't understand it. You know, no. Hullabilly says, Jake throwing bars, official to throw the whistle. Oof, you go, boy. Okay. I mean, I don't know what that means. MY Monty fan says, that's interesting. I never thought about Nash. He also doesn't have coaching experience, does he? He does not. I think he's the problem in Brooklyn. Because I don't see cohesion. Although it was enjoyable to watch Ben Simmons shoot a 3 last night. That happened.
Yeah.
You know, as a noted Brooklyn Nets fan, how did you feel about it?
I mean, I think that the Nets are, as I've been saying, are tough because, like, as a coach, it's difficult to tell Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving, don't take that shot, right? Move the ball, make an extra pass. It's difficult to say that to a guy like that because you know that they're probably going to shoot 38 to 40% from the field, then probably another 36 to 38% from 3. So they're capable. They're very capable. The problem is that there's a ton of scouting on them now. So this is kind of what I was saying about the Jazz and their early on success. There's no scouting on the Jazz yet. People don't know how they want to play. They just know they're a work-hard team. And so, like, when you start playing teams as the Brooklyn Nets, like, you know, when you're playing them, you're going to scheme to take Kevin Durant out of it as much as you can and put the ball in Ben Simmons' hands in the three-point corner and live with the result. Like, that's what I think teams do to the Nets. And then I think Steve Nash struggles to make that adjustment and say, okay, Ben, we need you to just drive to the basket like 5, 6, 7 possessions out of the next 10 because we need to start establishing that paint game so we can get back to the three-point game. Like, I don't see a lot of in-game adjustment.
Do you still have your throat lozenge?
Yes.
I'm almost at the end of it.
Well,
I
thought it...
That just happened. My throat lozenge is now a rug lozenge.
Damn.
But I do have a little...
Yeah, don't chew him. Don't chew him.
I was trying to display it, you jerk. James Knight says, I hope you're not suggesting sacking the coach, are you, Monty? Well, I don't talk about coaches' sacks at all, ever. You know, I don't. They're usually wrinkled. The old adage, great players don't necessarily make great coaches. Amen to that, Ed. No doubt. Tanner Plummer says, I think that Ben Simmons, Ben 10, will be okay in the long run. He will. Hullabilly says, I'm proud of you too, Monty. Oh, thank you.
Get a room.
Thank you. That's
Get a room.
That's nice. Tanner says, Mont has willpower. Never thought I'd see that. Yeah, well, you know, is what it is. House Montemayor is not House Targaryen. You have class. Exactly. Mark Hale says, amazing in your own mind every day. Every night, too. Ask Mrs. Monty. MY Monty fan says, now I kind of wish you would have said it, Monty. Well, that was the whole point.
That's right, T.
I'm just being, in stuff. Hullabilly says I was complimenting Jake's ability to rhyme, which he has none. Do you know what? I know you don't know lozenge, but do you know what rhyme?
Yeah, you know.
Dropping beats. Wow, wow.
Right.
What?
Official blowing the whistle. Okay.
Hey, you see, well,
And stuff.
It's great. James Knight says, hard to believe we're pointing the finger at the coach. 78 games to go.
Yeah, but you've seen what he's done
It's
the last
not.
couple
Yeah,
seasons.
it's not
Like,
this season.
Come on, guy.
You know, it's not a. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, Butthead. I'm sorry, your name is Hey Butthead. Hey Butthead said, I think DM finally out of the way. Conley can command the team at point and facilitate passing while being a threat himself as long as he stays healthy anyway.
Who the f*** is that guy?
Water's wet, and we have to do football at 50.